This is the Maya Biosphere Reserve. It's a protected area of northern Guatemala, a tremendous expanse of rainforest. According to the AFP news agency, 13% of this forest has been lost this century. Wildfires are partly responsible, so are illegal logging and illegal ranching practices in a nation where almost 60% of the population is estimated to live below the poverty line. In fact, some of the conservationists helping to revitalize this forest say there's not enough work here or pay to support a family. It's a part-time job. But they are doing what they can to replace the grass with trees. One of those involved says, "We love living here. The forest is life for us." An update on the ongoing auto worker strike in the United States is what's next today on The World from A to Z. My name is Carl Azus. Thank you for taking the time to watch our news show. On one side, you have tens of thousands of workers employed by the Big Three American car makers, Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis, which owns Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. The United Auto Workers Union has been negotiating on the striking employees' behalf. It says their pay and benefits have been unfairly low at a time of high or record profits for the car companies, and that the workers gave up benefits during a major recession in 2008 that haven't been restored yet. The union has been pushing for raises of 36%, fewer working hours, and more retirement compensation and benefits for employees. On the other side, you have the companies themselves. They say they have shared some of their profits with full-time employees and that they've offered raises of 23% and other benefits. But they say meeting all of the union's demands will prevent car makers from investing in new cars and factories down the road, and they accuse the union's leadership of using unfair tactics in negotiations. Experts say the strike has cost the U.S. economy billions of dollars, and at this point, the two sides do not look like they're getting close to a deal.
The United Auto Workers Union calls what happened Monday in Sterling Heights, Michigan, a surprise strike. 6,800 union workers moving from work at Stellantis to the picket line, in the latest move in a larger strike heading into week 6. It's the second surprise move in as many weeks, the first against Ford October 11th. This one, the UAW says in a statement, comes as Stellantis has, quote, the worst proposal on the table, trailing Ford and General Motors on issues including wage progression, temporary worker pay, and cost of living adjustments. Stellantis responded with its own statement, saying it's outraged and that it had offered a new improved deal to the union last week with no counter-proposal in return. There are now more than 40,000 UAW members on strike and thousands of additional Big Three layoffs. Anderson Economic Group estimates members on strike or those who've been laid off have lost nearly $500 million in wages.
We can stop this now.
Ford's executive chair said the strike was at a crossroads when he spoke publicly last week. This week, UAW's president says companies need to act to avoid more surprises.
Either come to the table and take care of your membership or get ready because more is coming.
I'm Emily Schmidt reporting.
On this date in world history. October 25th, 1971, the United Nations votes to admit the People's Republic of China to the UN General Assembly. At the same time, the UN decided to expel Taiwan, essentially saying it no longer represented China as a whole. The Communist People's Republic also took a permanent spot as one of the 5 members of the UN Security Council. The United States wanted Taiwan to be admitted separately to the UN, but the proposal didn't pass. In 1990, the Kazakh Soviet Socialist Republic declared its sovereignty from the Soviet Union. This didn't make Kazakhstan a fully independent nation. That would come later, but it was one of several Soviet republics to push for more self-governing power. By the end of 1991, the Soviet Union, a former world power, had collapsed and been replaced by 15 independent countries.
One of the many ripple effects of the ongoing war in the Middle East could be an impact on global fuel prices. But could is the key word here because, at least in the U.S., prices have seen a steady decrease throughout the month of October. Right now, the U.S. government says the average price of gas is about $3.53 per gallon. That's not considered cheap in a historical context, but prices are lower than they were last month and last year at this time. The biggest factor in the cost of gas is the price of oil. But in the Middle East, neither Israel nor Gaza is a major producer of oil. So why are some investors concerned about rising prices? That's where the word could comes in. It's possible that Hezbollah, a militant group that's based in Lebanon and is also considered a terrorist group, could escalate its attacks against Israel. Hezbollah is supported by Iran, and that country is a major oil producer. So if Iran increases its involvement and reduces its oil exports, that could cause prices to rise around the world. Stateside, two events helping reduce gas prices include the end of the summer driving season, which decreases demand, and the switch to winter gas blends, which are cheaper to produce. I'm Lindsay Wolfgang Mast for The World from A to Z.
Word of knowledge. Which of these nations has the most border countries? Egypt, Afghanistan, Switzerland, Pakistan. Bordering 6 other nations, the most on this list is the South Asian country of Afghanistan.
The CIA World Factbook estimated in 2020 that Afghanistan spent less than 3% of its gross domestic product on education. That's among the lowest levels of education spending in the world. And after the Taliban fundamentalist group seized control of Afghanistan as U.S.-led forces were leaving in 2021, women have been prevented from attending college, according to the United Nations, and education for all Afghan girls over age 12 has stopped. Many teachers in the impoverished, war-torn country face extraordinary challenges, some just getting to the schools where they work.
I'm driving into work in my car, as you might expect, but if I were a teacher at one school in Afghanistan, I'd be relying on a very different mode of transportation. These teachers paddle to work on inner tubes. To get to their school in eastern Afghanistan, they have to cross a river, and there are no bridges or boats to make the journey.
When the spring season starts, the amount of water increases. We all cross this river using inner tubes, and we face many problems and challenges when crossing the river, since it can be quite risky, and it's really hard work.
The teachers bound several inner tubes together to create rafts. Each morning, they carry the vessels to the shoreline, make sure they're fully inflated, and paddle across. When they arrive at the school, the teachers store their inner tubes and prepare to teach their classes. Billy High School was built in 2004, but the Education Ministry has decided it's too dilapidated to repair. Now, only 3 classrooms are in use.
As you can see, our students are studying under the sky. Sometimes it rains and students are gathered into 2 or 3 classrooms. There is no enclosed area. Teachers sit outside after class since they have no proper offices. And when a car passes, it distracts the students. You can see the school building is damaged and all the windows are broken.
It's been 4 years since the province received new textbooks. Many of the teachers are living in poverty and have no other way to make money. But as one of them says, life goes on. The whole country is facing such impoverished conditions. Afghanistan is one of the poorest countries in the world, and the economic situation has only gotten worse since the Taliban took over in 2021.
At worldatozorg, there's a button on the bottom left of the screen that says Request a Shoutout. That's our main source for the schools we mention. Mr. Weiss's class knows all about that. Indian Land Intermediate School is watching in Indian Land, South Carolina. And in Noblesville, Indiana, we've got Mrs. Ruschak's class watching today. Hello to Noblesville High School. Destroy and enjoy was the job given to some elephants in the Pacific Northwest recently. It was a major stomping and chomping session as they took part in the Oregon Zoo's 25th annual Squishing of the Squash. The event started in the 1990s when a nearby farmer dropped off an 800-pound pumpkin for the elephants to enjoy. And do they ever. These days, they demolish and polish off several of the area's giant gourds that farmers provide as part of the zoo's lead up to Halloween. This year's gourds weighed in at 500 to 700 pounds each. Any pumpkin will tell you the elephant's pachyderm a punch. The tusk at hand, or foot, sets the stage for a really gourd time that's ripe with the seeds of a mammother load of elephantine enjoyment. I mean, what else would you expect from a trunk show featuring smashing pumpkins? I'm Carl Azus, stomping out all the pumpkins I pump can, and we hope you'll join us again tomorrow. You mean the world to us. Have a great Wednesday.